Hey everyone, Simon here. A very quick update on Bitcoin. Why do another one since I did one about a month or so ago? Um, well, because there are a lot of news reports and about how Bitcoin is going down. There are downward triangles and news and such. But the truth is, all of this is bubbles on the ocean, and the truth is, the bubbles go as the ocean goes. And what we try to see is where's the ocean going, meaning where is the fundamental impulse, and is this going to have a bright future or a dim future? And to do that, people through the ages, human beings have looked to other means, meaning besides the five senses, and also what includes the five senses. And one of those is astrology. By observing the movement of planets and stars and other phenomena in the sky, the ancient sky watchers figured out certain patterns. They figured out that when Saturn is in a particular constellation, the Rohini, when it passes through the cart that they sort of symbolized in the sky, that would create famine. Now, did they make this up? They didn't make it up. They observed this, and when they saw it, they wrote it down and passed it down for generations. And many times, influences are intuited as well. So I happen to be a fan of the methodology of astrology, but there are other methods, obviously, for figuring out why things happen. Um, and playing with this, using this methodology to try to predict mundane events is a way to test it, even in our modern time. And I like to say that astrology would not have survived to this day if it had been complete superstition. Partly because the kings and the queens and the emperors of the past relied on advisors, and many of them who were astrologers. And if their predictions did not come true, they often, got the boot. Um, so, nonetheless, it has survived. Yoga has survived to this day. If yoga didn't work, didn't make you feel better, didn't make you feel younger, didn't help you heal certain physical, emotional, and even spiritual ailments, then it wouldn't have lasted. And that's why new trends like Pilates, which is a wonderful system, but it is unproven. New trends, we have to wait and see. How will it do 1,000 years from now? Will it still be around? But the things that have worked, that are still with us, are these ancient traditions, including astrology, yoga, traditional healing systems like Ayurveda. They have proven the test of time. So, what do they have to say about Bitcoin, and why does it matter? Well, according to astrology, Bitcoin is going to go up, and I know this sounds like a very material kind of statement, but and the reasons why it should go up don't matter really, because um, one time I was looking at a chart and I said, listen, this is a bad time. It's probably going to go down. And it goes down, and people say, oh, well, it's because there's a lawsuit, or it's because these governments banned it. Well, I would put it to you that those are the superficial things that carry out, if you will, the orders or the wishes of the heavens, but they're not the cause. And so what we're in the job of doing is looking at underlying causes. And one of the correlating factors that I've seen in the horoscope is that Mercury has a lot to do with the ups and downs in Bitcoin. Not just because Mercury represents commerce and business and so on, but because I think the chart of Bitcoin is inextricably interwoven with Mercury. And so, what do I mean? When Mercury has gone combust, so today is September 1st, 2019. A few days ago, Mercury went combust. And regularly this year, every time Mercury has gone combust, which it does fairly often, Bitcoin tends to tank. And of course, people go, "Oh, that's it. It's the end. It's the trend down. Forget about it." But as we know from astrology, a planet becomes combust when it's 6 degrees from the sun. More really, but the real effect is when it hits within 6 degrees. And the moment Mercury hit, let's see, this was right around here, August 28th, 29th. Bitcoin started to take a fall, and it's going to continue to kind of stay low. But very quickly, once a planet becomes combust and starts to come out of it, it starts to rise again. And so we've seen this in several cycles this year. Mercury goes combust, Bitcoin's price falls. And so, which means that in a few days it should come out of it. Now, Mercury is also very soon going to go into the sign of Virgo, which is its exaltation point. So we can expect prices to go up. However, at the same time, it'll be in a planetary war with Venus. You could see here in both the North and the South Indian charts. Now, those of you who don't know astrology and don't care, a planetary war simply means that a planet is at the same degree of longitude as the other, and they're fighting for space. So this suggests great volatility, ups and downs, great, there may be pretty bigger spikes than usual during this time. But overall, and this planetary war is going to continue for a few days, which is very rare. Planetary wars usually are 1 day, 2 days, 3 days max, but this one's going to stay around for a week. Nonetheless, as Mercury emerges by mid to late September in its exaltation point, that is good, okay? So going back a few weeks when Mercury was in Cancer, it's sign of its enemy, not good. Then it entered combustion, also not good, which is where it is now. But overall, my prognosis is very positive because the chart suggests that Mercury, as it goes to Virgo, should begin to prosper. But the bigger trends are Jupiter's move into Sagittarius and ultimately Saturn's move to Capricorn. So for non-astrologers, all that means is Saturn's move into Capricorn is taking the brakes off. The limitations that are that were imposed on Bitcoin are beginning to be taken off officially late January. Okay. And Jupiter, which represents the gas, is about to be applied because in Sagittarius, it's going to aspect Bitcoin's moon, so that should give it a nice boost. So what that may correlate with real world events like Backed going online, going live on September 22nd or 23rd, other ETFs being approved, governmental sort of other factors coming into play that facilitate the use of Bitcoin, even Facebook's Libra coin, which was a boost. But again, these things are the bubbles on top of the ocean. It's the ocean that we're interested in. And the ocean looks like it's a rising tide. And for all of the hodlers out there, HODL, people holding on for dear life, such as myself, even, who have seen these great dips and God knows I did not foresee all of the great dips nor the great rises. But I think even with my limited vision, this is a rising tide, and we shall soon see in the next 4 to 5, 6 months, particularly triggered first by this Mercury exalted. That's a small trigger. Then Jupiter in November, moving into Sagittarius, that's a bigger trigger up. So big news coming towards the end of October, beginning of November. And then Saturn's move in January, that should be the final breaks coming off. So all of these, as I've said in previous videos, these augur good tidings for the price of Bitcoin. And the price of Bitcoin really is a measure of its utility, because if no one's using it, it really has no value, like the internet. But if companies people didn't know what would happen with the internet. But companies like Amazon, companies like Netflix, who found a way to use the internet in innovative ways, made it indispensable in our lives. And so I think this is what the bubbles will begin to create is um, uh, infrastructure for the use of the blockchain, which is really what Bitcoin measures. It's a measure of the blockchain's value and usefulness. Will come more and more into the mainstream. And as that happens, Bitcoin's value will rise. So between October of this year and, or really late September of this year, and the first few months of next year, 2020, this should be a very interesting time. So hold on for dear life. And if you haven't stocked up yet, no recommendations here. Certainly, this is for educational purposes only and for entertainment value. But you know, I'm going to try to stock up a little bit and see what happens. All right. So I hope this was useful. And by the way, I forgot to mention the altcoins. Now, what are altcoins? They're anything besides Bitcoin. So Bitcoin came out in 2009. It was the only cryptocurrency until September of 2011, when Litecoin came out, which is a variation on Bitcoin that's faster, that's easier to verify the transactions. After Litecoin came others, Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash and so on. And those are all termed altcoins or alternative coins. And now there's many thousands of them, many of which are just useless. But the main ones, namely Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum Classic, and a whole slew of others do have function and usefulness, and are consider them like apps. Okay, so if Bitcoin is representative of the blockchain and the internet, you could say, and though this is probably not a fair analogy, that the altcoins are like apps. So you've got your phone and Bitcoin is the network, but you've got Instagram, great app. You've got Facebook, you've got, you know, games, you've got all kinds of stuff. And as those apps become popular, their value will increase. And a lot of people are very dismayed right now because while Bitcoin's price is fairly good, fairly strong, the altcoins have gotten completely hammered. And I got two things to say about that. The first is that as Jupiter moves in November, that should also trigger a positive move for the altcoins. Why? Because in the chart of Litecoin, which I'm taking as sort of the representative of all of altcoins, Jupiter and the moon are together in a place where they'll be aspected by this Jupiter once it moves in the sky. So that should be very positive. So the altcoin should begin to move. The second is something that has nothing to do with astrology, which is that typically 6 to 8 months after Bitcoin has a big rise, as it did earlier this year in April, the altcoins then start to move. So May, June, July, August, September, October. Actually, it was around April 1st, so we can count April, May, June, July, August, September. So in October, by that logic, October through December, we should see a rise in the altcoins as well. So if you're a hodler, holding on for dear life in the altcoins, as I am also as well, you're probably down. And I would certainly, this would be a bad time to sell, in my opinion, because you would be losing a lot of value. And not knowing that they tend to rise about 6 to 8 months after Bitcoin has a rise will hurt you. So I would wait a little bit, wait till the end of the year. Same recommendation for Bitcoin goes for the altcoins. Just wait until they hit their stride, which I do think will come before the end of 2019. but towards the end of it. So between October and December. Okay. All right. That's it for me today. And I hope this was useful to you. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Thank you.